Hello everybody, this is Miss Paco and I'm going to teach you today how to sew a little pincushion. Okay, something like that. Not exactly, but similar. As you can see, we are going to need a needle, we are going to need some pins, and we are going to need different scissors. So we will have a pair of scissors for cutting the fabric, a pair of scissors for cutting paper, and a pair of scissors, this is usually quite small, for cutting the thread. For my students in school we have different color scissors. This is what I have at home. We will also need some paper, we will need some embroidery thread, and then we are going to need some felt, which is a type of fabric, nice and soft, and it comes in many beautiful colors. And then at the end we will also need some fiber fill, some stuffing for our pincushion. So to start we need to make a pattern, a paper pattern to cut our fabric. I've already drawn this, so you take a piece of paper and draw the shape, and then you take your paper scissors, not the thread scissors, not the fabric scissors, but the paper scissors, and cut out that shape. If you want, you can use checked paper. It's much more easier to cut nice and straight lines on that and easier to draw. So I have my paper pattern and I need to cut 2 pieces of fabric, right? You see this pincushion, it has one piece and another piece. So I'm going to use a blue one and a green one. So I will have 2 different colors. You can have the same colors. What I do is I put them on top of each other and then put the paper on. And here I have a straight line, so I'm going to use that. I don't need to cut there. I put the paper on and pin the paper, the pattern piece, to the fabric. I pin it in 2 places so it doesn't move. I go in with the pin and then up. Then I take my fabric scissors and I start cutting right next to the paper. Look, right like that. If your scissors are not good enough, you might have to cut it separately, 2 pieces. But if you have good sharp scissors, you will be able to cut 2 at the same time. So, and then I cut off this part. So now we take out the pins, put them back in the pincushion so they don't roll around on the table. And we have 2 pieces of fabric the same size. I put them back together and I put in 2 pins again so they stay together while we are sewing. They don't move away. 2 pins. So now we need our needle and we need some thread. There is always a lot of questions about it, how long we need to cut our thread. Don't cut too long. We are going to sew a very simple stitch, it doesn't require lots of thread. Cut a piece that is about the same length as your arm, not longer than that. Because if you have a very long thread, it's quite difficult to sew with it. Now you take your needle and you take your thread and thread the needle. If you find this difficult, make sure to practice, okay? Then we tie a knot at the end of the thread, and this is how you do it. Make a loop with the thread like that. A loop. This part is over the other one. And then go around the loop and go in the loop. And now you have a knot. If I pull this, it's going to be a good knot. But because this is such a soft fabric, we need an even bigger knot, because simple knots usually just go through it quite easily. So what I do is I just pull a little bit of this thread so I can go around once more. So I go in the loop twice and then I pull my thread. So there I have a good knot, and then I usually cut off the extra thread, leaving just a very little left. So don't cut right next to the knot, because then it might come apart. And then we are going to start sewing. We will sew a very simple stitch that is called running stitch, which means you go up and down and up and down in the fabric. But first what we need to learn is where to put our knot. Every time we sew, we want our knot to be either on the back of the fabric, or in this case, when we want both sides to be nice, we need to put the knot on the inside. That means we go between the two fabric pieces, put our needle right there and pull. So try to remember the place where you first put the tip of your needle, that's where you will have the knot. So, and then we put these two together and the knot is hidden on the inside. And we are starting to sew, and we go down and then we go up. We go down and then we go up. Now the trick is to try to sew nice and even stitches and small stitches. If you sew with very big stitches, we will have a problem. Let me show you. This pincushion I was just using for my pins and needle, you see how these stitches are quite big, but look at the sides, what's happening. If you make big stitches, there is actually a hole in the pincushion between the stitches, and your stuffing is going to show. So when you are sewing two pieces of fabrics together, it's important to make small stitches. Now, if somebody feels that it's very difficult to sew in a straight line and it's difficult to sew even small stitches, what you can do, you can take a pen that comes out of water. We have blue pens in school, and you can take a ruler and you can actually draw a line here that will help you to make it straight. Or if you want to make sure your stitches are even, you can even make little dots, so you can have your stitches exactly the same size. Here I made dots in every ½ centimeter, but after a while you can do this without marking. So it's totally okay to do marking and totally okay to do without, and if it's not 100% perfect straight, nothing is going to happen. Now another thing I would like to show you, oops, let's fix this here. I got caught on the pin, I just take it off and continue. So the other thing I wanted you to learn is to sew looking at one side. My students very often do this, turn over, but then you don't have the marking. And that is quite difficult to do the marking on both sides, so they fall in the same place. So it's so much better if you can learn to bring your needle up from the front. Oh, it's not in the right place. I go back and adjust a little. And to have this, you can use your middle finger or your index finger to support the needle in the back. So try to learn this. When you are going down, you can see everything. When you are coming up, try to come up without turning the fabric. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to sew here without marking. And if it doesn't turn out 100% perfect, that's still okay. And then I would like to show you one more thing that we can do. So if you are quite good at this, you can even make your stitches like that. You go down with the needle and come up with the tip of the needle, and then you pull. So then you don't need to pull your thread all the way every single stitch, just with every other. But with this one, it might need a little bit of practice, so you can get them the same size. Okay. So now we go and sew not all the way around, but almost. We need to leave a little hole for putting in our stuffing, right? So here, this is a little bit too far away, So I will just come back a little and continue like this. You don't want to go and sew your stitches very close to the end of the fabric, because the fabric might come apart. Oops, I made a mistake. Well, I made it deliberately because I want to show you what to do when we make a mistake. I think I can take out this pin. We don't need it anymore. When you make a mistake, this is what you do. You take your thread out of your needle, like that. You can use the back of your needle that is not as sharp to go under the thread and pull it out. So, and then you rethread your needle and continue sewing. So it's really easy to correct a mistake. And that's why I don't usually sew with double thread. Instead, I like to have one part of the thread shorter than the other. And as I sew, I always pull it up a little bit so I keep it shorter. A very common mistake is that children sew, and they don't notice that this thread has become the same length. These two threads become the same length, and then they continue sewing with double thread. We don't want that. So if I do a few more stitches like this, look, now I'm sewing with double thread, and we don't want that. So I really want to pull out the one that is short and make it shorter. Try to keep an eye on this as well. So this is a simple and easy project. Still, there are lots of things that you need to know how to do, and you need to keep an eye on it. So it's actually a perfect project to learn your basic sewing skills. Okay, I don't stop here. I do a few more stitches. We don't need such a huge hole for putting in the stuffing. A few more stitches like that. So, and now I stop. I don't cut my thread. I don't even take out the needle, because I can just put in the stuffing here. I take out the pin though. So here is the polyester filling stuffing. I know lots of people call it cotton, but it was a long time ago then when all this stuffing was made of cotton. This is not cotton anymore. It's polyester stuffing. It's okay, just call it stuffing or fiber fill. So you can decide how hard you want to fill your pincushion. Because we made small stitches, there are no holes, so it's quite okay to fill it up hard if you want to. I like kind of a middle hard, a little bit hard but not much. Okay, and then here I need to push it down a little bit so I can continue sewing, and maybe I will put in a pin here because now the fiber fill is pushing at our fabric, so it might get distorted. So I want to keep the straight line, and I continue sewing. So, and so. You can take out the pin now. And when I am coming to the end, I need to make a knot, but I'm not going to make the knot here because I want the knot to be on the inside. So here I make another small stitch, but I put my needle in the middle. So I'm not coming out to the other side, I'm coming out in the middle. Right, so now it's not so easy to see. I will try to bring it closer to the camera. I am going to go under the thread that made the last stitch, and this way I make a loop. Here we have a little loop, and then I go through that loop with my needle, one, twice, and pull, and there we have a knot. Now we have two knots. That's the beginner knot and that's the end knot, and then I'm going to try to push them to the inside because we don't want them to show in the corner either. So I will go with my needle to the inside. So If you see your needle there, it means there will be a little thread, so I don't want that. I want to go in there so that the needle goes right between the two fabrics. Now it's good, we don't see the needle. I come out somewhere else, far away, and try to pull my knots to the inside as much as possible. So we don't really see much there at the corner anymore. And now I can just go and cut it here. If I pull the thread a bit and cut right at the fabric, the end will just jump back. So here is my little pincushion. Looks the same from both sides. No holes on the side, no knots visible. Perfect for my pins and needle. Thank you. Good luck.